probably close to 5 years, 4 years, I think. And then I've hosted other students. I host medical doctors from foreign countries. So I'm sort of just like a jack of all trades when it comes to like hosting kids and hosting adults, young adults, older adults. So I've been exposed to a lot of different cultures. Probably the majority right now is the Chinese culture. So, you know, having had 2 kids last year, my first year with Cornerstone, we hosted 1 kid. He was a senior. He was just a great kid, and we had sort of apprehensions about, just like probably you guys in the back, like, how's this going to work? So we're like, how's this going to work? But he was a senior. He was great. He was just a brilliant kid, like a really smart kid. Ended up going to NYU. And, you know, it was great with my kids. My kids were really much younger back then. And, you know, and then we hosted the second year, and then we had a set of twins, 1 boy, 1 girl. You know, that worked out great. So, and then when my kid was in 8th grade, we took like a year off. And then last year, we hosted a senior, William, and then a junior, Adair. And then I chose to take on Adair again because he's going to be a senior, and he's a great kid. He cooks. He's just a wonderful kid with a great heart. And I was like, why wouldn't I want you again? Because you're just such a great kid, you know. So I get attached. Equally, I think the kids get attached as well, you know, in good situations. But I think in some instances, you know, you could have a child who's been with the host family for like 2 years, or wants to change up, you know, negative or positive. It's you know, it's fine. Okay, so great. As far as myself, I'm normally a real estate agent, but I do this part-time with Ren, and you know, I meet with host families and I meet with students. So I'm sort of an advocate for both sides. You know, I advocate for the host families, and then advocate for the students as well. And then I work with Ren to see if there's any issues or things that, you know, that need my attention. But I strongly advocate for families because I'm in the same situation you guys are. You know, I'm under the gun just as much as you guys for like meals and transportation and time and communication and all of those things that. And then you have the teenage aspect of it as well too. So, you know, these are tremendous things that you have to deal with, you know, on a daily basis, you know, and you just have to make sure you coordinate everything. So this we'll deal with at the end, or?
Yeah, with the end, you can continue with it.
Okay, great, and here. How do I get to the next page?
You can use this. Just click. This one.
You want me to help? I can help.
Oh yeah, that would be wonderful. That would be great. Thank you so much.
Just click.
Okay.
And every day I am like getting better and better under Jesse and my son's tutelage. They're like technology geeks. And I'm like, how did you do that? You know, how did you do that? I'm like, there's an app for that, Mom. I'm like, okay.
Even their mouse is new to me, see?
Exactly, that's why you're in charge.
Okay. You want to go to the next one?
Yeah, go to the next slide. So, you know, why Homestay? Well, Homestay, you know, as Ren said, you know, there's a lot of exchange of cultures between the two. You know, you have American culture, and their goal, as well as students, is to assimilate into that American culture, because you are preparing these kids to, you know, be on their own in a university college setting. So they have to learn from you. So in essence, you are their second set of parents here in the United States. Obviously, Ren is their guardian, but since we are their guardians as well, you know, Ren is their guardian on paper, and obviously we are responsible for the day-to-day stuff. But they're here to learn from us, and I'm very clear with my students. I'm like, nobody's going to help you out in college and university, so the more you learn with us, you're better off you're going to be. Okay? Homestay conduct and policies. So when the students started in dorm, obviously they had a set of rules and policies that they had to follow. Okay, room checks, cleanliness, going over their grades, that sort of thing. So in essence, the rules, and I believe I copied you guys on the rules. Did you get the rules? I think I sent you a copy of just a sample rule, just kind of like my own. And if you guys want to use it as a template and add and delete as you see fit, great. But I would say by this week, please send me those set of rules, because we have to have those set of rules in the file, okay? Something to show the parents, yes, we went over our house rules with, you know, with Fred, and Fred understood our house rules was this, and this. We were very clear, and, you know, all of that is so that we're really clear with the student, you know, what goes on in our home. This is your home, okay? So they have your rules that they have to listen to, okay? So family responsibilities. Family responsibilities, you are responsible to provide a room, a comfortable room, temperature-wise. What's the temperature of the room has to be?
68
68.
in the winter.
68 in the wintertime, and obviously air conditioning in the summertime. So, you know, summer's going to be
That's what we learned from the city code. Before that, we don't know that, because some kids, you know, some family, they complain, and then we couldn't figure out what is it. So we go and search, that's a city code.
That's a minimum, I think, that the city sets for the landlord.
Right, is that what you guys
That's a
use?
minimum.
Yeah.
Right. So we're responsible for, you know, safe room, safe environment, food, you know, a safe place. Let me see what else.
They do have a, you know, we do have a specific slides for each one of it. So
Okay.
this is just an overview.
Okay. Let's see. Expectation of students, so they have to, you know, obey your rules. Their expectation is that they go to school every day, that, you know, they focus on their grades, and, you know, they come to you if they need anything. So a lot of the tips and for host parents, you know, as Ren said, communication is just key. You know, you're talking about like teenagers. I have 2 teenagers of my own, and something always gets lost in translation, you know. But being clear on your rules involving WeChat, you know, I'm really specific when it comes to like utilizing WeChat. I love taking pictures, like even if it's like, you know, like I take a picture of something in their room and I send it to them. I'm like, what's this, what's that, you gotta clean this up, you know. You're very clear on what you're doing. And I have found it to be successful that way, because that way it is super clear. Then if it becomes a problem, you know, then I address the family or address Ren, or, you know, get everybody involved saying, hey, this has been a consistent problem, you know. But then generally it's been pretty clear. So tips for students. So in my role, you know, I talk to students, you know, aside, privately, monthly, on a monthly basis, to say, hey, you know, how are things going? And sometimes kids are so shy, they're probably not going to tell you what's wrong. You know, they'll probably tell me, it's like, well, the host mom said something to me, and I didn't understand it, and we lost it. I was like, well, what did you think she said? You know, type of thing. So sometimes they might tell me something, they might be shy about telling you, they don't want to offend. So you get into this kind of culture, and, you know, Ren, maybe you can explain a little bit of the culture, you know.
Culture-wise, you have to realize there is a big difference between the communication way. So Chinese are more indirect. American way, we find out is more direct. If I have a problem with you, I most likely, if it's not that serious, I just talk with you, okay? And to say, you know, could you help me to understand this, why you do this? But Chinese, we never do that. You know, typical example is when the Chinese come to the family as a guest, when we say, okay, do you want some water? Even though they're really thirsty, they will say no. Though they will not tell directly. So when they have a problem, they will not tell you. They think that's not polite, just tell you, I think something is wrong, or I want you to fix it. So the easiest way, of course, and also another thing is because they are teenage, they don't want a problem. So when they found something complex, they will go to their mom. So tell mom, and then mom tell me, and then me tell Anna, and then Anna come to you. So in case there is something like that, don't be angry with the kid. We have some you know, experience. Some host parents think it's kind of offended when you have things, why don't you talk with me? Such a simple thing. But you have to understand, this is a kid and also the Chinese culture, we like to work things indirectly. So this is how that's why when in China, even though you go to the hospital, think about that. You go to see your own doctor, right? You think you just go there and tell them what's wrong with you, right? But in China, no. We have to find a friend in the hospital and that friends take me to the hospital to find the doctor I want to see. So we Chinese people working things differently. So this is a kind of thing. So we were trying to educate. I just finished recording my orientation to the student. Go talk with the teacher, talk with the host parents directly. But I want to kind of share that with you. You may find the kids still go other route. So don't be angry. Just give them a little patience, trying to figure it out. Okay, thank you.
And then we'll talk about missing school protocols, what needs to happen. Last year, I'll give you an example, a lot of DARE, one of my students, he missed a lot because he was sick, and that's okay. But, we have a certain protocol that we've got to follow this year. So, and you all have our numbers in the folders here, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. Next slide. Homestay families. So again, we talk about that cross-cultural experience. So it was so sweet that Howard said, I'd love to cook for you guys. That is the sweetest thing. And he wants to share that culture with you. So you equally share, your cultures and customs with the students as well, And Derek teaches me all kinds of things about Chinese cooking. It's like, Susanna, you have to use sesame oil over here. So I'm like, okay, cool. That sounds really good, So we share a lot of stuff together. Him having such a great heart, he has patience with me because I don't know how to do any type of Chinese cooking. And the whole goal for us is not to provide Chinese cooking. You know what I mean? So it's like they should be exposed to American culture because guess what? They're going to go to colleges and universities that are all American. So. But with you guys attending some of the Chinese events that we'll be having, that would be great as well. And that's just really a super show of support for the student and the families. They see that as well too. That you share it in this type of cultural experience. Safety and trust, patience and communication.
I feel like I need to write down my questions.
Yeah, please do.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Please do.
Good.
So. When you're in a situation where, again, I go back to this communication, things can be lost in communication so quickly and so easily. And I find that, even with my own kids, I have to have patience. I'm like, okay, about not raising my frustration level, because kids will sense that, and then they'll start retreating. And then, just like your own kids, and they start getting scared of the things that you're saying, you start losing your voice. So, please, communicating, even just through the WeChat is the most important thing, okay? High school students, how old are you? Yeah, so, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. I mean, you guys have two younger boys, and I had 2 boys, and, and all of your kids are grown now, so, you've learned a lot raising your kids, and then you share your experiences in how you're going to raise these kids, because really they're coming to us to learn, all of these things and how to be adults, so you're going to teach them patience and communication as well. Okay, next slide. Conduct policies for host background checks. So I think we've done all of the background checks for everybody already. Everybody's been in the clear. As we spoke about earlier, general guardianship. Ren, you have the final guardianship, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, final responsibility. If there's anything that happens with the students or hospital, medical, or whatever, obviously we need to know that right away to advise the parents if there's decision-making involved and things of that nature. But, I mean, you are the guardian because you're in front of this child, but ultimately the guardian
Legally.
is
Yeah, that's one thing I think our program different than the traditional homestay family. Normally the traditional home family, if you host a minor, you have to be the guardian because there's no other way to work out. But working with us, because I'm local, so I will be the guardian, and so you guys basically, I always say the guardian in action. So like Anna says, you guys will be the guardian, in action, so we're here together.
Right. And supervision, so you will provide, supervision over these kids. So it's just like, like your own kids or anybody that is responsible to you. You're going to have to, lay down the law so far as like your rules and policies. And I go back to house rules, so that's why I need to have it by this week, okay? You go over it with them, like line by line. I think, it was a commentary one time, I think one of my students, I laid down the rules, like I'm a more A to Z type of person, and one of my students, I guess, commented to Ren saying, that's a lot of rules, But, I like to cover a lot of ground too, because things have come up, and it's like I should indicate that. And if you need to advise your rules as you go along, then great, add that in. Just say, I just want you to have the latest copy of the rules, kind of, remember we talked about some of these things in our meeting. And how I started out with the kids as well too, I had a meeting with them like every Sunday, probably for the first 2 months. Talked about menu planning, we talked about the rules, we went over the rules, everything okay? Are you acclimated at school? How are things going at MPA? How are you feeling? Do you need anything? All of these sort of things, just to sort of give them a touchy-feely, like what's going on with you. So, supportive environment, obviously, you are the supportive environment, so in anything that they do. Conduct policies for students, obviously, no drugs, no smoking, any type of behavior that you need to call out, then you need to talk about with them. Again, they're teenagers. I think one time one kid, kind of not raised his voice to me, but kind of, I think, out of frustration. And so I sat him down and just kind of, arms across the table saying, we don't raise our voice. I know you were frustrated, but I don't raise my voice to you. I am very patient with you, so I want you equally to be patient with me. Is that okay? Do we understand each other? So if you need to have that type of conversation, then you do. Now, if you happen to be hosting like 2 kids, obviously you have a private conversation. I'm very much a person, I praise in public, I discipline in private. So if I need to talk to that particular person about a particular behavior, then I'll do that, just because I have 2. Behavior, clothing, a few times I had to address the students about clothing, like rips and tears in the pants and things like that. I said, your body and what you wear is your temple, and if people see that you have a lot of holes in your clothes and you're looking disheveled, tell them. I know some things are hip and all that. I didn't have any girls, like so far as like the short things, but I'm like, if I do, I would certainly say something. And it's very difficult not having daughters, but it's like, just kind of do the one over on the clothes if you think, or here's one. One of my students last year wore a shirt that was clearly too small. He worked out a lot, so the shirt was like up to here, and I'm like, William, you got to change that shirt. The shirt is too small. I said, go like this, and he went like this, and the shirt went up to here. So sometimes they just don't get it. They're teenagers. They're not going to see it for what it is. So you're going to have to step in and just politely say, hey, you got to learn your shirt. That shirt doesn't fit you anymore. Do we need to go shopping, or do you need some clothes? That sort of thing. Language. I'm a big believer in using good language and not using slang. So if that's something that is not tolerated in your home, then you need to be very clear, especially with your young boys and all of that. So, just be very clear on any type of language used. Social media and internet. I tell kids, you can't put any information or any pictures out there of like my family and my situation without like my permission. Okay, I get, I'm a big Facebooker, so I'm like, hey, what's going on? But, social media can be taken to a level that, the families might not like. So you have to discuss that with them, because they might post things in the house or whatever. But you just need to be very clear, just say, everything, in my house is kind of hands-off, unless we're like doing a family picture together and you're posting it to your page, and okay, we get that. But that can be a part of your rules, okay, and your policies in your home as well. So again, I leave that in your purview, okay? But like them, social media, like let's say, I'm just gonna use this as an example, like kids smoking and you're taking a picture and then posting it on the Facebook page, or whatever they use, whatever social media they use, you have to discuss that with them. Reputation, and again, once you lose your reputation, it's hard to get back. So again, that sort of social media thing, if you're putting out there that you're a certain way, or you're doing things that are not acceptable, and these kids, they're under I don't want to say the watchful eye of friend, but they are. They could easily, you could get into a situation where you can lose your visa. And we tell these kids. I don't know if you have an example or something you want to discuss so far as like the stringentness of their visa requirements. Or?
Yeah, the visa actually, there's a system, the government state of the country. If there are something violated the law, no matter schools or us, we have to report it to them, and then they can be suspended. The I-20 is what their visa for student visa can be suspended right away. So something like drugs, smoking, alcohol, the kids don't feel that's illegal, but it's illegal here. So that's the things that we kind of struggle. I don't want to hide the problem with you. So these are the high school students. Sometimes they get, other kids can smoke, I can smoke. No, you can't. We have to be very, very strong on that and to tell them. And also something like bully. We have an accident last summer when the summer kids coming. So there is one kid, boys all don't like him, so they kind of bully him. So there are things, it can be reported to SEVIS right away. So that's the part I need your help. You may not find a good solution, but I beg you, let me know. Because I will be the one to decide how we want to report and when to report. But I think our role is we have to be aware. These other kids, we have to really, monitor them very well. So these are the things I hope, we can work together. Like Anna says, if you say, my son, I won't let him do it, then just take the same heart for these kids because they are the kids as well. Let's do it. That's my heart. I take them as kind of my son. If I don't want my son to do it, then I don't want them to do it. And also, please believe me, their parents trust us. When there are something, I will communicate with them right away. So we can have a conference, we can have all the kind of way to help them out. So you guys are not alone, but the first thing is, if you have something you don't know how to handle, please talk with Anna, talk with me.
As they say in the customs world, if you see something, say something, And as I come to sort of cleanliness and go over there. I tell my kids, I do health and safety welfare checks in their room, okay? Now, what we have found last year is that parents who just went into the rooms, like, I want to say like unannounced, and as a homeowner, I just check every room for whatever reason. I'm cleaning, I'm picking up, I'm looking at my son's room, it's just sort of natural behaviors. And so I respect the student's space, and so I tell them in the WeChat, dear, I'm doing health and safety checks, I will be checking your room. Okay? I tell them prior to I enter, because sometimes, one of my students would leave the room heater on or leave the fan on, and I tell them, I take a picture of it, hey, you left your fan on this morning, make sure that you turn it off, take a picture of the heater, it's on, you gotta turn it off. And, I look around in the room, just, make sure everything's okay, and, look in the closet and all that. But they know what kind of, I know what I'm looking for, but sometimes I see things that are, I want to say, like, strange or funny. And then I talk to them about it, and I sort of share a story with them. So I'm in one of the students' room, and I'm looking up, and he has this workout guy, so he's worked out a lot, and he took a lot of multivitamins. So I'm looking on top of his, like, vitamin area. Again, I had told him in the WeChat I was going to go in his room. So I looked over here, and he was taking these. And I'm thinking, I was like, do you know what these are? He's like, yeah, they're gummies for health. I work out a lot, you know that. And I was like, well, you know that they're prenatal, right? And he didn't know what prenatal was. He's like, well, what's that? So the second I know the second I told him that, he was just like flushed. He was like, oh my God, you know, it's like, here you go.
I doubt it would have hurt him, but.
No, it's all just like.
I know, but he had no
He
clue.
would have had really long hair and shiny nails.
Right, and very beautiful. Right, exactly, which I'm sure he did want to do. So immediately he gave it to me. He's like, well, do you know anybody who can use it? I said, well, no, because I mean, my days are over. But, you know, these are things that you see. And you're like, why is this happening? You know what I mean? Because they have no clue. They're teenagers. He's like, what's prenatal? That sounds great. What is it? You know, and he looks it up and it's just quick to translate and he sees this. You know what I mean? So I see funny things all the time that I question the kids about. I question the kids about, like, why do you have so many aluminum cans in your room? Take them out to the trash. You know, again, I take a picture of it so that they're aware of it, that is a problem. I said, you can't collect trash in your room. They're teenagers, okay? So, you know, if you need to do a health and safety check on a monthly basis and you say that in your meeting, I do this on a monthly basis, I will advise you, then they won't feel like, yeah, the host mom comes into my room and doesn't tell me and there's things that are moved, you know, because they have that feeling. So I think we dealt with that a little bit last year, and I just emphasized to the parents, please just let the kids know that you're entering their room, that you're doing a health and safety check, you know. And again, I'm sure he was really appreciative that I told him these were for pregnant women, and, you know. You know what I mean? So I see funny things all the time, so many stories. Okay, and then obviously if their room is not up to snuff so far as cleanliness and all that, then you have to address that. And again, address it in your policies as well. It's like, I want you to change your bed weekly, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, make sure that you're doing your laundry, all of those types of things. So, okay, next slide.
Yeah, by the way, I really hope you could do a room check, you know, once a week. That's how we do it in the dorm. Because we found out some are really good and some are not. Okay, for those who are not, I think the best way is let's do a room check, okay? Let's see if your room is clean. At least, you know, we push them to clean the room once, you know, for a week. So kind of a good way.
Oh, see, I can already tell how it's supposed to be.
Well, you're in the services, so you know what it is to do a room check.
What happens if we don't do a room check with a teenager that already lives in our house?
Oh, there you go.
Her room's a mess all the time.
Then maybe it's a good time you do the
Maybe.
room
Do it
check
for
for both
everybody.
of
Do
them.
it
Yeah.
for everybody.
Well, you know, and that's actually something that I thought about because my children, I feel now are right at that age that they're challenging everything that we say. And I kind of think that this might be good because
Give them
here
the
I
same
can tell
rules.
Howard is going to be this perfect child. I can just tell. But whatever, I'm joking.
Yeah.
That, you know, when he's following rules, hopefully my children are going to start picking this up like, oh, well, he can do it, you know, and look at what, you know what I'm saying? Maybe actually start looking up to him and learning. So, yeah, hopefully we can take advantage of this.
And it's like
For our-
anything, like even when you're in a job, you know, your boss is going to go over expectations of you. So you equally go over expectations of the students. You know, again, you're trying to make them better and to live on their own, okay? Because they're not going to have a host family freshman, sophomore year of college. You know, so it's like, oh yeah, I remember Amanda told me that I should keep this place neat. It's like, yeah, you should. You know what I mean? So they're learning from you through this as well too. So, I mean, you know, David, I mean, your kids are all grown now. Hopefully you set a just wonderful example for them.
Of course.
As great adults. You know? But that's our job at the end of the day is you know, to be a good, you know, a person of influence for their lives. So meals, expectations of home family. I'm going to get to meals. Let's talk about airport pickups. Now, in your case, Howard is already here with his father. Amanda, probably Wayne will be coming in. I'll get the schedule as to when Wayne is coming in. Okay. And the expectation is that you pick him up from the airport.
Okay.
And make sure there is because they are not domestic kids, so there will be custom they need to pass it. So don't come there early. You know, wait until they come out. That's why we really want to connect it with you guys on the WeChat. So when they landed, they will notify you, I landed. That's the time you start to drive to the airport. So that will save you a lot of time. Because the custom can take a lot of time, you know.
Right. And your kids are coming in, and I'm picking them up since they're staying with me. But under normal circumstances, you're responsible to pick them up. So the only time that they're not responsible to pick them up is when?
They travel by themselves, for example, in the Thanksgiving day, they want to pay a visit to their aunt or something. But it would be nice if you guys can drive them to the airport, but you're not obligated to. Yeah, but the
So
the
I
most,
work out here, so
there we go.
no problem
Okay.
for me, but
Uh-huh.
they have to
Yeah,
go
but for
with me.
some parents, it could
Yeah.
be really, really
It is
challenging.
very far.
Uh-huh. So I think, we do kind of, put it, this is mandatory at the beginning and the end. So in between, if they're by themselves, we hope they could take Uber, we will train them. Most of the kids actually are the third year in Cornerstone, so they know how to take Uber. And we want them to take a screenshot when they're on Uber kind of thing. to
Yeah, I
make
thought that was
safe.
a great idea when I was.
Even for our own kids, right?
Yeah.
Like we mentioned, I think sometimes I think it's a good time, we always share, parenting skills. So when we learn how to parenting this, international student, it might be a good time for you to think about how we do our own parenting skills.
But my neighbor, he drives, and he said Uber is a horrible company. You should always do Lyft.
Really?
He's with Lyft, but he said that they do much more of a background check. Yeah. Than Uber, I don't know if they do a background check at all.
I think
Yeah.
Uber does, but that's a good,
Yeah.
maybe in the future we can introduce.
Yeah, and the kids are pretty well indoctrinated about Uber, but you, again, must be clear in your, when you sit down and go over the rules and policies, like the first 2-3 Sundays, like, let's kind of go over the rules. Do the rules still apply, or you still understand what I need? Because these kids are super independent. Like, they'll just go to Chinatown, like, in a group of 5 by themselves, in an Uber, but you need to have that actual record, a screenshot of, like, when they're taking their Uber, when they're coming back and all that, so that you just have it, okay? You don't have to put any commentary, just here you go, this is what time I'm getting, okay, home. So there is curfew, City of Chicago curfews that they have to adhere
I was
to.
gonna ask, is that mandatory that they are allowed to be out that late? That seems really late for a teenager.
For 11?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not so much the weekday.
And that's just the city.
Isn't it-
If
No,
you're,
the 10 is a weekday.
Yeah, but isn't
Weekend is 11.
10? I mean, for
I know, but they're incorporating, I guess, maybe after-school activities or something. I have no idea. I mean, obviously, that's the City of Chicago, and they're not living with the City of Chicago, they're living with you. If your
Yeah.
rules are certain
yeah,
this,
I
and this,
don't
this
know what
is how
other
they-
people do. That's what I was kind of wondering.
For my
like-
own kids, they're not allowed to be out even after dark unless I'm picking them up from school.
Yeah, I
And-
mean, I would
and,
never
you
even let anybody take like
know,
any.
yeah.
Crazy
But
dreams,
again,
you know.
these are your rules, that it's like, look, I'm not comfortable with you taking Uber at this time. You must be in our house at a certain time, we put our alarm on, we do this, we do that. I mean, you make it clear as day, these guys are under the age of 18.
Yeah.
If anything happens to, you know what I mean? So, even with my own kids, if it's after dark, you're gonna be in the house.
Yeah.
In the house, Daily check-in with students, just you can send them a WeChat, hey, how was school today? Or you can see them at dinner time. I mean, you guys are gonna prepare meals and all that, so obviously ask the question, how was your day? They might say, it was great, and just leave it at that, as teenagers do. But you can ask the probing questions as well, like, hey, how was your calculus test, or how was your history test? How did that English paper go? Did you want me to take a look at anything you're writing? And sometimes I take a look at some of the kids, what they're writing, and it's like, the way they write is the way they speak. And it's like, I want to say like in a sort of a Chinese way, it's like, yes, and I'm
That's
like,
what we call Chinglish.
Chinglish, right. Right. I mean, these kids are, they're brilliant in sciences and math and all that, but then when it comes to like writing, they write in the Chinglish, and I'm just like, you're writing the way you're speaking, so sometimes they need your help and advisement. And if they get used to that, then that's a wonderful thing that you can actually, help them out, Parent-teacher, you are required to come to parent-teacher conferences.
The
Okay.
new update, we made a few changes.
Okay.
Because last year I attended the Morgan Park Academy Parent Teacher Conference, and I asked about the Homestay students as well. And the Homestay parents come to the Parents Teacher Conference too. So that collapsed. So we decided that if it's Morgan Park Academy, we do not require homestay parents.
No, you don't require them this
Yeah.
year? How about with like Lincoln Park?
Yeah. Cause I was kind of concerned about that, cause I was like,
Right?
it's not anywhere close.
I know, yeah,
We can talk about it, I think,
Yeah.
we can do that.
Yeah, let's-
If it's,
Yeah, we can
if
do
it's
it
not,
case by
we can
case.
go, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but I think, you know, access to the MPA portal,
Yeah.
you know, to see how they're doing, and you guys can clearly get access to Howard's portal to check his grades, you know, and
Yeah.
it can be on a monthly basis. How are you doing? You know, how are your grades doing? Can you show me how you're doing in school? You know, and he might bring up his portal. I know at Ignatius, I can check my son's portal like every day, like in each assignment that he has, you know, like, well, why'd you get a C in here? Why is there a D minus here?
Yeah.
They said that.
We do have also the 2 boys.
Yeah.
We want to, yeah.
Yeah, but they're at MPA, so I don't know anything.
Oh,
Lincoln
Howard.
Park.
Oh, I forgot that.
Lincoln Park,
Lincoln Park, we
yeah.
don't have one.
Oh yeah, and also that's the importance of WeChat. We updated their grade in the parents group, so we take a picture, not a picture,
Oh.
but a screenshot
and then
in
you
the
just put it-
WeChat group. So like you can check every kids that you hosted, how their
Oh.
grades going on. Yeah, we will
Okay.
update it in the group.
Right. So any type of technology or portal, the high schools have, and you know, if we need to give you access to, you know, you can just sit down and talk to them, just say, hey, why was this assignment handed in like, you know, late? Why? Is there any reason? Is something going on or something happening? You know, I found out later that, you know, one of my kids wasn't handing in assignments, and it's like, why? It's like, I know, Miss Anna, I'm going to hand everything in, you know? And obviously, I am a resource as well. If you have a question about something, or you know, I'm going to set up a WeChat group amongst parents, like just us, with Ren and Jesse in there. So if you have a question for like the whole group as well, you know, we can put it in that WeChat group. So I've saved the best area for last on the screen, meals. So, you know. The good, bad, the ugly, okay? Meals this year, lunches are covered by Cornerstone. In the past, families were given a choice as to whether the lunches were provided by the parents or they were provided by the school. So, you know, being a host mom, like, you know, centuries ago, like when I did provide lunch, I found it very frustrating, even as a host mom, when some of the stuff came back. And again, and I'm just going to go back to culture, like Chinese kids don't like PBJ sandwiches. Like for my kid, if I make him a PBJ with a granola bar and like a chocolate milk, he's fine, okay? But if I gave a PBJ, a granola bar, and a chocolate milk to a Chinese kid, I'd be like, what is this? You know, that's not in their culture. So, and I'm looking at the cafeteria stuff at MPA, and it's just like, it's so awesome.
Yeah.
Like you have hot food, cold food, salads, fruits, veggies, so they can pick what they want, and then that's half the battle. You know, food is a battle, could be a battle, and I found that was kind of a frustration point. You know, last year for the families that did provide lunch, some of them didn't like it, blah blah blah. So I think this year, and again, you know, Ren, you can give more feedback on that. A decision was made so that Red would cover the lunches so that the host families would really be super clear on breakfasts and dinners, you know, so and again, this is just me, you know, I found that was great because I didn't have to think about lunch, you know, because lunch, you know, if I have to think about it, and it's coming back, you know, the stuff that I pack like an orange and it's coming back, it's like, that's frustrating for me, it's just like, you know, it's like wasteful, you know, and my kids know, it's like, ugh. But now that it's covered, all I had to do was step up like my game when it came to breakfast and dinner, you know. I provided a lot more like fresh fruit, I gave them choices for breakfast, and again, you know, I'm not dictating any type of policy when it comes to what you're preparing for your household. What I think Ren had talked about earlier, in the dorms, and again, we're not here to beat the dorms. In the dorms, they provide 2 veg, 2 protein. Am I correct? Okay. Every day. And that protein could be, you know, tofu, beef, chicken. You know, I consider beans a protein as well too. Although one of my kids have been very clear to me saying, Miss Anna, I don't like beans. I'm like, okay, so that's out. You know what I mean? So I try to give my kids a lot of options, and I give them a fresh vegetable every day, okay? So I know with one of my students, he said, Anna, if you just give me broccoli every day, I'm fine. You know, and I obviously changed things up for the other one. And then at the same time, I was providing the vegetables for the kids, even though sometimes they didn't even touch it. You know what I mean? So, but I provided those fresh vegetables every day. Now, menu planning, I think, really helps. And this is in your packet. This is just a sample, okay? You know, I'm a person, if I make a big meal and there's leftovers, yes, students can eat leftovers, but I think like on the third day, it starts to get kind of, you know, students, I don't want to say pull up their nose on that, but, you know, it's third day it gets kind of old. It's like, yeah, we've had spaghetti, you know, for the third day in a row, you know, with leftovers. You know what I mean? But I tell my kids, you know, all of them, I said, you can have leftovers. You know, we're just not going to have it 3 days in a row, okay? I mean, if I made like a big roast and we can make the sandwiches or warm it up, great, then we have a big roast left over from last night, or a ham, or whatever the case may be. I just happen to put pizza every Friday on my thing, whatever works for you guys, okay? And often I would just have chopped up broccoli, chopped up green peppers. We have fajitas, taco night, baked potato bar. One of them we had grilled cheese with soup and spinach salad. The kids liked the spinach salad, and I would say the majority of the time I was cooking it, I would provide the spinach salad for my own son because he doesn't like it cooked. Whereas, so I provided sort of two versions of it. But a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about here is just a sample. I'm just giving you as a sample. And Sundays, like in your meetings with the child, you can say, okay, what do you want for this week? And you can do your menu planning from there. And that way you've already set up an expectation with them, so they can't come back later saying, yeah, Amanda's not making what I like. It's like, really? Because you had a meeting with her and you told her what you wanted this week, you know? Or you went over the things that, you know, you presented a menu plan, and it helps you sort of plan what you need to go shopping for, okay? And again, veggies, every day I provided it, every day without fail. You know, unless they told me, hey, we're going to Chinatown tonight, you know, don't make dinner for us. Okay, great. But I want that to be, you're driving that home so you're super clear, because now you're going to be making, you know, dinner for 8 people, because that's how I did it. I made dinner for 8 people, and if 2 people weren't coming, now I'm stuck with all of this. You know what I mean? So I'm clear with my students. You have to tell me when you're not coming home for dinner, or you have a late night meeting, or you're at school, or you're with Ren, or whatever the case may be. Let me see. So with that, is this helpful? Something that, you know, you can go over with the student on a weekly or even a monthly basis. I mean, I know exactly what I'm buying. I'm buying beer battered fish sticks. I'm buying stuff for taco night, pizza. Make your own pizza setups. You know, I'm creative. And then I put on the bottom here sliced fruit. What I did is I sliced up like 4 oranges and just put it buffet style. You know, but if there's something that like a New York strip steak, or, you know, again, you can provide that. And what I did sometimes, I just put it on a plate saying, here, this is for you, and then you can have as much rice and vegetables as you want, because I made, you know, I made 7 steaks. There's 1 for each person. You know, I had big eaters at my house. I had one kid who worked out like a fiend, and another kid, you know, who was a little bit of a heavy-set person. You know, so they tend to eat a lot. So as a parent, you know, I would approach that child saying, look, you can't use that much salt on your food. But as a parent, and I lovingly said this to him, like, I really don't want you to use that much salt, because that salt's not good for you. You know, it causes you to, you know, be a big person, and that's not healthy. You know, so if you need to have that conversation, you know, great. And I don't know culturally what you think about that, but I was okay having that conversation with students, you know. So, you know, you're watching out for their welfare and everything.
But if he's a super, super big eater, I do want you to help him, or at least let me know so I can say it politely or the way that he can accept. But I do appreciate what Anna says. Yeah, sometimes you might have a kid basically eat nothing. And you might find a kid actually, you know, most likely boys, you know, they eat a lot. So I think I would do appreciate, for the first month or the first 2 weeks, you kind of figure out, how much is good enough for them, then prepare enough. Because sometimes we do have a kind of rare cases, the boy kind of complained to us, we are always hungry at that house, always hungry, because it's such a controlled amount of food can give to us. So we don't want that happen, and they're not teenager, and I know most of the cases that's not, what happened, but sometimes we do have that case as well. So we appreciate it, but if they are definitely overeating, we do want to know as well, because, but like last year I hosted a girl here in this house. She's definitely have a problem with control, and so we have to tell her, I tell her in a multiple way, to tell her you got to control. So yeah, it's just upon your judgment. And thank you for Anna for pointing out. And I have to say very, very frankly with all of you, the big kind of hard part for us for the homestay program to be satisfied with the students is the first is the meal, and the second is the transportation. Other part we probably won't get trouble. But these are the two main conflicts we always have. And so to me, like for the take care of the lunch part, actually it's not in my budget, but I feel I have to do it because I don't want that part rouse the conflict even more. Because the kids have a difficult part, kind of really feel comfortable with American food for the morning and the dinner already. Then they also continue to complain about the lunch. I feel so bad. So that's why I told Anna, let's do it. Cornerstone will cover that up because the hot lunch at the school is pretty good. That's especially at Morgan Park Academy, it's very good. Howard, you don't need to worry about the lunch as well. The school, is covered his lunch as well. So
Okay.
yeah, Morgan Park Academy.
Do they have hot lunch though?
I think so.
Okay.
CPS need to have hot lunch.
Because like the Clissold, over here, they don't even have hot lunch for the kids.
Okay.
Sorry, I pointed there, but.
So the big
Yeah.
part actually, Chinese prefer hot, even morning, hot breakfast and a hot dinner. So that's the part I think you guys probably feel the most challenge as well. The meals part is not only just challenge to the kid. I think probably you will feel the challenge as well. So I appreciate Anna put together this manual, so it will give you kind of a example. And of course, each kid is different. You may find a kid that actually totally fine with burger every day, okay? But most of the time, I think the kids do have assumption or prepare in their heart. I'm into American family. I got to be able to use to what they eat. But still, you will see they kind of struggle. They're
Why?
not used to,
Why would they want to lie? We're one of the most unhealthiest nations in the world, aren't we? I mean, come on. I think I need to stick by Howard's diet. Like, what's up, man? I go all the time.
But people are different, right? Each
Right,
family
right.
different. So that's a part of, I know Connor stayed with David. Connor was so happy about what David cooked.
You wanted to marry, I know.
David's such a good cook. I enjoy everything he cooks.
He's a griller.
Oh, you got a griller.
man.
Just get grilled. Oh.
He's a griller.
So whatever your specialty is, get connected with the kids and try to figure out some kind of, two ways of you cooking. I know Anna's nowadays is an expertise. So, but I think every family has a secret weapon. So I know you all have. So trying to work with it. But what I say is the meal will be the hard part. But I think, as far as you guys understand, trying to accommodate a little bit. That's why, today we want to show the dumpling part, the fried rice part. And then we take care of the lunch part. I think that will solve the main issue. And then the transportation is another part. I hope I could help, but sorry, I couldn't. So that's the part I hope, you guys can help me. David, I really appreciate the beginning of the meeting you mentioned. You always tell the kid in case something urgent, in case you need my support, I can definitely help you. I know everybody has a job. I know by hosting even our own kid, transportation could be challenged. but I appreciate all your advice or your possible way to support them. Like in agreement, we talk about how, by going to TOEFL test, that's their big day, SAT test. Those are very, very big to Chinese kids. For our American kids taking the SAT, no, I don't care. I don't care about what SAT is. But for Chinese kids, because those are super important, and it's hard for them to get a good score. They prepare basically 3 years just for that test. So that's a big, big task for them. So we really appreciate if you guys can be a little support, by driving them early in the morning. And normally they will take Uber back. So that's how we handle that.
No, that can be done anywhere, like it could be done closer to where we live,
Yes.
rather than going all the way up to.
So each time
Lincoln
we will try our best to tell them
Yeah.
which is the closest. But sometimes, no, if we have it in detail how many miles away, if it's really out of our drive range, we don't recommend them to do it. But
Okay.
in case they do it, we will tell them you need to hire a special driver to drive you there because we couldn't.
Yeah.
We couldn't. I figure out this way. See, this is the way I judge ourselves. If Cornerstone as a mom, if I as a mom, I couldn't do it, I don't want you to do it. I'm
Yeah.
not like, I down to you, okay, your turn.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't care how you take care, I won't do that. So to me, I would do it things very reasonable. If I can do it, I was really hoping you guys can do it. The meal is different, but taking care of the kids, I felt we are all moms. We probably on the same, line on that. So that's a part I really appreciate. So the rules, discipline, like Anna said, go ahead. Discipline whatever the way you feel comfortable. I think they will really appreciate. Parents in China will really appreciate. Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Because if I'm not mistaken, well, I don't want to say this incorrectly. The language is your language is more tone, correct? Like it's the tone of your voice and how it's said. And I guess my question is like when I talk to my kids, I'm extremely firm. I kind of sound like I'm still in the military. Now, does that work? I don't. Well, my tone of voice, even if I'm not speaking to them wrong, I'm just like, kind of. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No,
I hope I'm not
understand what you're
confusing you guys. Will that offend him? Or will it's like, oh, hey,
If that's the way you tell your boys, that's the way you tell.
Okay.
How about that? You don't need to bark it up just for Howard. If that's the way you talk to your boys, go ahead, talk to Howard. I think that's what I appreciate.
Yeah, but I don't want them to be, Howard to be like, oh, what did I get myself into? Because maybe that's not something that he's used to at home.
No, I think
You
if
know,
we
or
find
even-
each family, we do have a one character, either mom or dad has to play that role, right?
Right, we went out to dinner together with Wayne, and so the girl that lives with us right now, she's 19 and she's Puerto Rican, right? She's from Little Village, but she talks so loud, it's like she's always screaming at you, but she has an attitude,
Yeah.
so she's sassy, so she's like really loud and sassy, and Wayne was like, is she yelling at me? Like, is she mad? And I was like, no. And then he got it right away. He gets her personality already. He just took a dinner, but yeah,
She's Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican, and she is super sassy. And he was like, is she yelling at me? No.
If you really
So,
wonder, the first meeting, the first family meeting together with Howard, you may tell him. You may hear me a little, other than the mom, he's different. But that's how my personality is. You probably tell him, right? Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
Right. And sometimes, like Ren said, you have sort of different, my husband is very direct to a fault. And a few times I've had to say to a student, I'm going to apologize for my husband's approach, but that's just the way he is. And he doesn't mean any harm by it, okay? He's just that way. But when I speak to you, obviously it'll be a little bit different. But they have to understand that even in their workplace, they're going to deal with different types of personalities, and you're going to have to show them saying, this person is a certain way for a certain reason, for whatever reason. You know what I mean? So and they're like, oh, okay, Mr. Fan, okay, yeah, I understand Mr. Fan. you understand Mr. P, he's a good guy. But sometimes he just, gets excited or something like that. So you kind of have to sort of be that buffer zone. And you being in the military, me being in the military, we understand how to talk to our troops. So equally, I talk to my troops in a good way. And again, you just have to be clear and concise and consistent, in the things that you do. So I just want to show you some of the pictures that I post. And I post them in the family thing. I post like what I make. I mean, it's hard work. This is not easy, preparing meals, thinking about it, being creative, and, all that. So I post it in the family group chats, like, hey, this is what we're having, guys. Broccoli. And I'm very clear on everything that I have over here. But I'm showing this to the parents so that they understand, okay, great. So that resolves that. So they don't have to wonder, like, what's going on. And I'm not saying you have to do it every single day, but maybe the first, 2 weeks, post what you're making. And then they understand, okay, great, well, if she's making that the first 2 weeks, then I know it's going to be consistent from that. It's not like you're always going to go all the way down to, like, spaghetti every single day. There's a fruit, there's a veg, there's a protein, there's chicken. You can be as diverse as you want to be, but it's hard work, and I want the parents to see what you're doing, to recognize your
also
work.
show some of the picture of your family, what you guys are doing, with Howard with the 2 boys and with your family. I think mom will, can be in tears, trust me. They can be in tears. They miss the kids so much, so if you here and there post some picture, that means a lot.
Well, and it almost sounds like this WeChat. It not only is it a way of communication, it's almost like your documentation for everything.
Connection, yeah, that's my lifeline.
Well, and it's not just that, but it's like, this is everything that we've done since, here, this is it's all here. So, yeah, I kind of see that's why you're like really pushing, use it. Use it. So, okay.
You will love it. And you know what? Lots of my friends, American friends, when we start to use it as a work, and then now they use it as their daily life to their family as well, because we found that it's very useful. You will love it, trust me. Okay.
Right, and then, like I said, you guys work really hard. Have the parents recognize that. It's not like, this is not an easy thing to take care of, your child. It's work. It's work, as my husband tells me. He's like, I know it's work, hon. You're cooking, cleaning, and you're gathering, talking, all this, it's work. So the parents have to understand that, that you're doing your part, So even if the child says, I don't have veggies every night, or I don't like it, it's like, what do you mean? I posted in here. The child knows. We went over menu planning. We went over all this, and the child cannot come back and say, hey, I was confused. It's like, there's no confusion, because we went over this in the meeting. We went over the meal planning. In fact, I take pictures of the meals and send it to your parents. There you go.
Yeah.
So again, I feel like my butt's covered when it comes to parents, and there's no issues, But, and again, but I go over this with the kids too on a weekly basis. And then the night before, again, this is totally up to you. I ask them the night before, what do you guys want for breakfast? Most of them just say soup. I want, I want mushroom soup, or I want this soup. Because they're big soup eaters, like they love soup for breakfast. And it's and one of my students just loved dinner for breakfast. It was strange. He just wanted me to heat it up and have it there. I'm like, okay, great. So just go over choices. Go over choices. Because then if they choose it themselves or prepare it themselves, then it's up to them. They want to both. A lot of Chinese aren't cereal eaters. It's just not.
What's the most important meal today?
You mean currently, weekdays?
Well,
dinner.
In dinner. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think in some cultures it's like lunch is super important. So I just, just asking.
Healthy way lunch is, but we don't have choice since kids are at school, right? So we don't have choice, and that's why in Cornerstone, in the dorm, the big one is in dinner, because we don't have any other choice. So that's why the dinner we prepare 2 veggies and 2 kind of meal, depending on the meat. So that's how our menu is, because we cannot provide anything for lunch.
So, again, if you discuss the meal planning, if you go over everything with them, if you ask them the night before, the week what do you guys want for breakfast? Then I'll just get a bag of like sausages and do eggs or scrambled eggs or, you know, put it under, I figure it out. I mean, obviously you guys both work in the morning, so maybe you can figure it out the night before. What do you guys want? If you're making breakfast for your own kids and you're making it for everybody else anyway, keep it under a hot thing or pop it in the microwave for 30 seconds. It's whatever, but you're discussing it with them. And they've discussed it with you, so later on, Ren doesn't say, you know what, I don't like having cereal every day. It's like, well, you're not having cereal every day because you talked about it with the host mom. If you're having a hot breakfast, whatever that might be, waffles, sausages, kind of go over the choices with them. Okay. All right. Great.
So muffins, cakes, and different breads, it works as well, for some of the kids. But there are some family, like, they don't change at all, the same bread for a whole week. I think kids will feel, I can't deal with this, so anyway.
And if you're telling, and if your family is used to having oatmeal every Wednesday, we have oatmeal every Wednesday,
Yeah,
then that's what the child has every Wednesday is oatmeal, whatever that might be, with toast or, you know what I mean? So again, I'm not here to dictate any type of policy, just trying to make life a little easier in the communication channel of what they desire, and then you can agree. Let's see. WeChat, I think we talked about that. We're gonna get everybody on WeChat, David, right? You're gonna be on WeChat today.
Today?
Yeah, hopefully today.
How about today? Yes.
Yes,
Make it
yes,
today,
yes,
okay?
yes,
Yeah, we
yes.
can do it maybe during
After.
the dinner or
Yes.
something, yeah.
I have to leave about 10 to 6.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
we can make it. I think this is also part of
Yeah.
cover already, right?
Yeah, building a relationship, we talked about that. After school activities, if there's any type of like, you know, basketball or, you know, anything, talk about it with your host student or activities that they want to be involved in. If there's any late night meetings, again, you're coordinating whatever transportation they might be needing for that or whatever the case may be. We talked about attending Cornerstone events. We talked about room checks and health and safety. Electronics, if you feel like electronics is becoming a problem, then you need to discuss that with the child, saying, okay, I see you that you're late night on the internet and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you're not getting enough rest, you look tired and haggard the next day. Our Wi-Fi will go off at 10:30, you know. If that's the policy that you have in your home, then you share that policy with him. Obviously, if he says, you know, oh, we're having a test and I need to study, okay, great, then, you know, they need to coordinate that with you. But if you feel like it's becoming a problem, then you have to set boundaries for that. And again, it's
Is that a
way up
good
to
thing
you.
just to start doing anyways, like shutting it off at a certain time? I mean,
Do you normally shut it off now or no?
no, because my kids don't have access to
Right,
their
right.
devices. We have them hidden away.
Well, and like I said, you have to discuss, he knows that he needs to be up at 6 or, you know, to
Yeah.
start his day. So go over the policies generally, we like everybody to be off at the internet by like a certain time. You need to be up at 6 anyway, so you need to have enough rest. So if they get that from you, then they'll be like, okay.
A secret share with you about Howard, he is always have a difficulty in get up in the morning. So I think kind of pushing go to bed early is a good way to go. But sometimes he does struggle with academically, with the homework and everything. So what I will suggest you to push him to do homework early, then wait until the late night and then I need to do homework. That's normally the teenager will tell you, I need to do my homework, otherwise I will die tomorrow, so something like that. But pushing him early, I think that's a good way to do it.
Safety in numbers, the nice part about having the 2 kids with me, they always pretty much went out together, whether it's to Chinatown or some activity, you know, they were together. And, you know, and now Howard's going to be so close to Cornerstone, and you have 2 kids that they always do stuff together, believe me. And your student, Wayne, will just naturally get with Chelsea and the gang and everybody together. So again, have them stay in those numbers. I'm really suspect if anybody just kind of goes out by themselves, like, well, where are you going? What are you doing by yourself? You know, you're just sort of questioning. And again, I'm questioning to get answers from you. You know, if you're not giving me them, I'll keep on asking the question. And we went over meals and menu planning already. Next slide. We went over following the house rules, being respectful, kind, proactive, empathetic. So, you know, a lot of times my kids would be frustrated at like a grade that they have. And again, I'm empathetic towards them. It's like, you know, how did that test go? Do you need tutoring? Is everything okay? You know, they get kind of down about getting a bad grade, and they don't understand why. So, you know, we'd sit down and talk about it, or, you know, again, how's your day? How's everything going? I looked on the MPA portal, and this is what's going on. You know what I mean? So you investigate further, as because they might not tell you, you know, oh no, I'm doing okay. It's like, really? Because, you know, the teacher sent me an email saying that there's a problem. You know, so again, you're going to be part of that as we get you on the portal, as you meet teachers and all of that. Okay, next slide. Belonging. Kindness, generosity, common
This
courtesy.
is all for students as well.
Yeah, so again, you know, open up their, you know, sharing cultures is difficult, you know, sometimes, but you have to just, you know, have that voice of, you know, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. If you need any help or assistance or anything that I can do for you. Again, you're pushing that communication, you know. Let's see what else. You know, and having the kids involved in any type of thing that, like you're doing in your church, you know, hey, we're having a volunteer session, we're putting sandwiches together, we're whatever, you know, we would like for you to be a part of that, okay? And sometimes I didn't give, you know, the kids choices. I just said, no, you're coming with us. It's something that's a family activity. You must be there, okay? So,
Last one?
yeah.
Oh, this is the part I tell already, so the open communication, you can see, you know, I'm trying to educate them to do the American way, other than goes to their parents. So we always encourage them to talk with the host parents if they're in the homestay, and at school, talk with the teacher, talk with the principal before they go to me or before they go to their parents. So I'm not trying to hide things from their parents. I just tell them this is the right way to solve the problem.
Right. And, you know, and I even find myself even with my own son, it's like, look, Declan, you've got to communicate with your teacher on this. You're in high school, you're 15, okay? And typically the kids that you have are 17. You know, they're supposed to be, you know, negotiating these things themselves with their teachers and stuff like that. So they have to navigate them themselves, you know, but it's like, Declan, did you email the teacher? Because they're pretty clear on their office hours here. So you equally need to listen to their office hours and take care of your business. But if you feel like that you need to be CC'd on stuff because they're not showing up, then, you know, involve yourself. But again, following that is very helpful, and you're teaching them to become more independent. Okay, missing school protocol. So, last year, I would say one of my students was missing a lot sometimes, you know. He had some things going on, etc. So he would reach out me in the morning, Miss Anna, I'm not going to go to school today. Can you call the school? I'm like, okay, I'll call the school. But I found out that I was doing it a lot, and I had some concerns. So I asked Jesse. I said, Jesse, what is your system? Because I feel like maybe he's missing too much, or am I overreacting? Or, you know, I don't want to be like, you know, that parent that's, you know, all worried he's missing school and it's not legitimate. But it was legitimate. But now, if the student wants to be off of school, he has to put that request in the parent group. Am I correct?
In his own group, yeah.
In his own group.
His own group has a parents, has a host parents as well, yeah.
Right, and you guys are in on that. So you have to respond and say, okay, so you're not going to school. And so I need to contact the school that you're not going to be attending school. Yes, I'm not going to be attending school, so you're sick. Okay, great. So now the parent is aware in the group, you're responding in that group chat with the parent, and so they know. So they would be kind of, you know, less likely to be sick. You know, I want to say that they're abusing the system, but it's like a sort of thing that keeps things in check. Is that what you find with dorm students as well?
Yeah, sometimes they feel, you know, I don't want, you know, I take advantage of the system, how about that? And so we have to prevent that. And also they take advantage of the unexcused, kind of a sick day or excused, absent. So right now we are teaching them, so they should be realizing there is different now. So that is take care. And also, please let us know, because sometimes, most of the time, the school will call us, because sometimes it goes through the system or something, so we want to know, they are not in school. So if you could respond, yes, call or something, you don't have to particularly call me, but you just left message, yes, I did call school.
Right.
That would be very helpful for us to know that it's have been taken care, because we are support you. In case you are busy, two of you didn't notice, Howard didn't go to school,
Yeah,
then
like
we
if
will
I'm
call.
in a meeting and.
Right,
don't-
then we
yeah.
will call.
Okay.
That if you don't respond, I will respond.
So the parent group is basically, it's like your student, and then it's the host parents, their biological parents, and then you guys as
Yeah,
well,
yes,
right? Is
yes,
that how it
yes,
is? Okay.
yes.
And I see that as well too.
We,
Yeah,
we
that's
call
great.
it a support group. So it has all
Yeah.
all the support that the boy could have,
Okay.
actually.
Cool.
And everybody sees that, so it's not like you'd be like, oh, I didn't report sick, it was in the group chat, okay? So, and I will admit, sometimes, like 1 or 2 times I forgot to call MPA, and then I
Yeah.
caught myself, like at 10 o'clock, like, oh, crap, I gotta call them. So I called them and said, yeah, so-and-so not gonna be there, school night, okay, great. But you can leave a message, and I think in public school you can too, you can leave a message. There is
Okay.
a line that you call to leave a message, okay?
Yeah, I don't
So-
know anything about this.
Right.
Oh, it's cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
They always have attendance number, so you always
Okay.
can
Right,
have the
exactly.
message there.
And they'll always get that message, and sometimes I can email. I know with Declan School, I have to call. And if I don't call by a certain time, then it's unexcused.
Yeah.
So we need to find out those boundaries as well. So Howard can assist you
Yeah.
in like, what are those rules?
And I mean, I know that MPA is very flexible on their attendance.
Yeah.
So like, what is this, do you have any idea what the public school policy is? Like how,
I'm not
is
sure,
there,
but we can find out.
like
what
a
that is.
certain number of days before they're like in trouble,
I don't know, they have to be in school in a certain number of days by law.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like wondering.
I don't think he would ever.
I don't think Howard
No,
will
Howard's
hire
not that
Howard.
time.
Okay.
It probably, the only problem is he might be late sometime, but
Mhm.
he's a very good student.
Yeah.
He doesn't,
Okay,
he
good.
doesn't,
Right.
he doesn't take the advantage of that, no,
No.
never.
Well, he'll be up with me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's
No, because I leave, I catch the 7, well, at 111th anyways, I catch it like 7:15. What time has it gotta be at school? Do we know?
He has to leave
7:55.
before you do though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make sure
Anyway,
it's on
He's
there.
gotta be at school at 7:55.
And then, and he can be down at the train station. If he really wanted to buy like just a junker bike, just so it can always be left down there, he can be down there in about 45 seconds.
Right.
So, if he's always rushing, just get a bike and just ride down the hill, so.
Right.
It's
I
always,
suggested
always an
him getting
option.
like one of those foldable scooter things, those are
Yeah.
great. Because he still needs time to get off of the red line and walk to school. So there's like 11 minutes, 14 minutes between there.
Yeah.
So I kind of made that
Or
suggestion.
Diddy,
It is, it's great. Electric
Diddy.
scooter, oop,
Diddy.
Yeah.
He could do
talk to him
the
about
blue rental bikes and.
Yeah, Kevin's signed up, so.
There you go. There you go. So you understand that, and I'm not saying there hasn't been cases where it's like not legit or legitimate. You just have to figure it out. But I think now doing that in the group, there's less likelihood of it not being legit.
Well, and he's a kid.
Right, he's a kid.
I don't know if I want to go to
Teenager.
school today, so
Like the
yeah.
time, So, okay. And pretty much that's my information. Red's information, John's, which is Red's husband. And I think that's it. If you have any other questions.
Yeah, feel free to add my number to your contact list, so you can, either, if Anna is busy, I will always support you guys as well, so please feel free, WeChat me or text me, okay? And just definitely be there for you guys.